to another episode of the Art Patient. Glad you could join me. Makes a change when you're constantly in tracksuits and training to, get rid of all that clothing and dress up a little. Anyway, welcome to this episode where I will be talking about the situation of health as we see it today. I pulled the callus off. I was doing some bar work. I wanted to get back into one of the moves called rear lever. So through the winter I do a certain type of training that would eventually get me into the rear lever in a much more comfortable position. So I started the bar work anyway and pulled the callus off. Of course, you're gripping that hard. After you've been on Captain's the Crush, you're gripping that hard. You don't realise when you do them, but still, moving on. Oh, you know what? Have you noticed? Have you noticed the amount of fat people around? Fat people, obese people, fat people of late. Oh my God. Do you know, I'm not one to gossip and talk about people because I ride in rough skin anyway. But with that said, mate, the summer always gives me a reason to train. The summer always gives me a reason to train, and I love it because then you get to see what you've been up to in the winter. So for me, it's always nice to get rough skin on and go cycling. So then you get to see what I do and how much energy I can put out. And it quickly becomes apparent that your quickest way to up your energy is bacteria, without a doubt, because obviously bacteria brings about the activation of B vitamins. That's why there's so many tired people around. I'm just going to adjust this to get a bit more comfortable. Oh, it's on the last one. So, there's so many tired people around because the chemical deluge of their everyday Western diet absolutely assimilates bacteria that was put there to keep you for a long, long life. And that's what it does see, because bacteria, as I keep saying, outnumber cells. And if you've got 60 trillion cells, by the way guys, it's gone up to 60 now. Don't be surprised in a few years it'll be 100 trillion cells. Why? Because they're guessing. How can you possibly know that? How can you possibly, that baffles me. You're guessing at that one, mate. I don't believe that from it. Anyway, bacteria outnumber it 2 to 1. There's a lot of bacteria underpinning you, making sure the chemistry works. Underpinning you, making sure the chemistry works, okay, at first in the electrical body, in the electromagnetic frequency that you are, so I think deep down health, bacteria, well, if you can believe them, you originated from bacteria. So bacteria are your ancestors, but where do we live, eh? We live in a world where you're told to eradicate any germ in the kitchen, don't we? Spray this on, spray that on, buy this, bacteria are horrible, let's get rid of them. And since we've got that silly attitude, and like I occasionally talk about the end of antibiotics, this is where I'm going in a sense, because of how we've attacked bacteria, because you can't have anti-life. If you're pinning life up with bacteria, you're not going to have an anti-life tablet. It just ain't going to work, because then nature's going to go boom, kaboom, and push back. And that's what you see with MRSA, methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus, because it's altered into aureus, it's altered into another strain, because you can't kill the original strain. I mean, you know, it alters into another strain. That's what all superbugs. It's a bacteria. From day one, bacteria's. When you look into the bacteria thing, bacteria actually alter in advance of what you're going to do to them. Mate, God sorted bacteria out, and we live in a world, unfortunately, where we're taught to attack it and get rid of it. And in reality, is very, very different. If you look at the kids of Mumbai who live in the slums and by the suburbs, they have a far more reactive immune system, okay? Have a far more reactive immune system to anything than kids from the Western world who are covering themselves in lotions and, you know, it's antibacterial movements that has took mankind backwards. Well, they have been wasting their time for many years, and who knows how much they'll carry on trying to waste their time. There was a guy spraying Monsanto's glyphosate the other day, well, a couple of months ago, and I went over to him and actually told him about the ins and outs of it and how, but he, you know, he wasn't having any of it and he loved it, and he sprayed it all over his feet and was snorting it up, like, although he had a mask on, to be fair, yeah, but even when he took the mask off, he weren't that bothered. And I just thought, you know, dangerous stuff. But I'll tell you what I noticed, right, and this makes it interesting. So I was trying to say to him with nature, and nature's war, and it's hitting back, because you can't have an anti-life thing. If life is propped up on bacteria, you can't be poisoning it. You're always going to. Anyway, this is one case of that. So Monsanto's Roundup glyphosates in it. It's a seriously horrible stuff, but you know, that's what put Monsanto out of business, didn't it? So they got merged by Bayer, who want to take all their bad reputation on. Good luck to the pair of them, but funnily enough, for all its reputation, those poppies, mate, that grew there, came up just a few weeks ago, are absolutely beautiful. Obviously, I wouldn't want to eat the poppies, but it showed me that was nature just going, bing, have a bit of this, you know, like it's already adapted to glyphosate, Monsanto's Roundup. And I'm not defending Monsanto. I mean, I think it should be eradicated. Like I'm saying is, you can't have a world of antibacterials when you're propped up on bacteria. When the machine is propped up on bacteria. Now, a lot of you ladies on Facebook, you're going to know what one of these is, ain't you? You know, you're going to know what one of these little scobies is and what it represents. For the people who've never come across it, it's called kombucha, it's a drink, and the actual thing that's floating is a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. Now, look, I was never set out in this one to talk about the individual bacteria, so I'm going to leave that alone. There are, I think there's at least 7 or 8, okay? There may be more. But one of the things about this, right, is the lovely thing that you can grow it, you know, you become responsible for it, you know. And the way you treat bacteria is to just crowd them out with the good guys. But when you look at the scheme of things and you see people walking down the street and they're young and they've got like 2 arse cheeks where you've got 1, you know, or more, or 3, okay? And you think to yourself, my God, you can then see what's going on and what's happening. Because if you think these guys now are under chemical, if you don't know what some more enlightened people know, you're under chemical assault from chemicals from a very, very early age, and that's without the bombardment of vaccines, like, which had to come to fruition, didn't it? It had to, you can't keep, a lie is a lie, a lie is a lie, you know, and slowly the truth comes out. With vaccines it's been extremely quick of late, but people are so misguided about germs and the old idea of germs. You know, to believe in vaccines, you've got to believe in the old idea of germs, and then you've got to put belief that then people can alter the body in one way or another, and that's not without surgery. That's not